Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. A former Nasarawa Deputy Governor, Professor Onje Gaiwado, has been released. EFCC debunks viral information that it is currently recruiting. On the foreign scene, China stages live fire drills to seal off Taiwan on the third day of a military exercise around the strait. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael. We begin with security matters as a former deputy governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje Gaiwado, has been released 4 days after his abduction. The state's police public relations officer, DSP Rahman Nansel, confirmed this to newsmen this morning. An gunman had on Thursday kidnapped the professor in Rinza village, Wamba local government area of the state. Earlier, his abductors reportedly demanded 70 million naira for his release. The police did not confirm whether the ransom was paid, but sources said his family members paid about 4 million naira to secure his freedom. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in Zamfara State, Kolo Yusuf, has commended the resilience of the joint police and military deployed to neutralize bandit attacks and other criminal elements in the state. CP Yusuf, in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Mohammed Shehu, yesterday called on the public to improve and sustain their partnership with security agencies in an effort to restore lasting peace and security in the state. The CP made the commendation following the feat recorded during a fast confrontation with suspected bandits in a community in Tafe local government, where an attempted banditry attack on the community was repelled and 2 suspected bandits neutralized while others fled with possible gunshot wounds. The police commissioner further reassures the public of improved and sustained police commitment in the ongoing campaign against the resurgence of banditry activities in the state. In Bauchi, the state police command has arrested 7 suspected thugs from the hideouts in Magaji quarters. In a statement yesterday, the police public relations officer in the state, Ahmed Mohammed Wakil, said the suspects, whose age bracket was 17 to 25 years, were apprehended with some dangerous weapons and alcoholic beverages. The police said their arrest followed credible intelligence as well as collaboration with a Corsi security outfit in the northeastern state. Reacting to the arrest, the Commissioner of Police, Aminu Al-Hassan, urged parents and guardians to get acquainted with the activities of their children. He stated that the suspects will be charged to court for prosecution upon the conclusion of an investigation by the Bauchi State Police Command. Police authorities in Nasarawa State have arrested 1 inmate that escaped during last year's attack on the Kuje Correctional Center in Abuja. Police Public Relations Officer Rahman Nansel disclosed this in a statement yesterday, identifying the escapee inmate as 24-year-old Salisu Buhari, a native of Nasarawa State. Also arrested alongside Buhari during the sting operation in Nasarawa local government area of the state is 27-year-old Zubairu Ali. The police spokesman stated that both suspects were nabbed last Thursday for motorcycle theft. He said the Commissioner of Police, Mayaki Baba, has ordered the transfer of the case to the State's Criminal Investigation Department, Lafia, for an exhaustive investigation. Moving on, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has debunked viral information on social media but it is currently recruiting through a recruitment 2023-2024 application portal dated April 7, 2023. The Commission disclosed this on its website this morning warning members of the public not to be deceived, noting that the information shared on social media is fake. The Commission stated that the fraudsters, who are yet to begin the process, further provided links on how to apply and urged members of the public to share to other WhatsApp groups to help others. It added that information about the Commission's activities, including job openings, can be obtained from its official website www.efcc.gov.ng. To politics, the All Progressives Congress (APC) has praised the Presidential Election Petitions Court (PEPC) to dismiss petitions filed by 3 opposition parties challenging the victory of its presidential candidate Bola Tinubu in the February 25 election. The APC urged the tribunal to discountenance the petitions in 3 separate responses filed at PEPC's secretariat last night by Thomas Ojo, a member of the party's legal team in Abuja. It was gathered that the 3 political parties are the Action Alliance (AA), Allied People's Movement (APM), and Action People's Party (APP), which had in separate petitions challenged the emergence of Mr. Tinubu as president-elect. In the meantime, the Bauchi State High Court has restrained the suspended state chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Babayo Aliyu Misal, from parading himself as a member and chairman of the party. The presiding judge, Justice Lamido Umar, granted the prayers of the plaintiff, Al-Mustafa Zubairu, against the first and second defendants, Babayo Misal and the APC, respectively. In suit number BA 73-2023 filed by Mr. Zubairu at the court, the suspended chairman was restrained from parading himself either as the state chairman of the party or as a member of the APC, pending the determination of the motion and notice. The judge granted an order of interim injunction restraining Mr. Misal from further parading himself as a member or chairman of the APC, pending the determination of the motion and notice. In a rather sad development, 18 persons have been burnt to death in an auto crash along the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway yesterday. The Enugu State Police Command spokesman Daniel Ndukwe confirmed the accident in a statement, noting that it involved a Mercedes-Benz tipper and an 18-seater commuter bus. He said the tipper, loaded with bags of cement, was plying against traffic from Enugu City when it had a head-on collision with the passenger bus coming from Aba, Abia State. He further stated that both vehicles burst into flames and all the occupants burned beyond recognition except the driver of the tipper, who was found alive and has been admitted to a hospital. Elsewhere, a 34-year-old South American man from Suriname, Dada Lorenzo Harvey Albert, has been arrested with almost 10 kilograms of cocaine at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Rivers State. Spokesperson for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Femi Babafemi, revealed that the suspect brought into Nigeria 117 parcels of cocaine concealed in extra-large latex condoms factory-packed inside bottles of body spray. The suspect claimed he departed his country, Suriname, on board Qatar Airways flight in search of his long-lost Nigerian father, whom he called Omini. In the same vein, NDLEA officers at Tinkan Seaport in Lagos have intercepted 110 parcels of Colorado, a strain of cannabis weighing 55 kilograms, hidden in a container from Toronto via Montreal, Canada. Similarly, 2 suspects, Abubakar Abdullahi and Stanley Tobias, were arrested on Friday, 7th April, with 108,000 tablets of tramadol at Oyingbo Motor Park in Lagos mainland.
So that you cut from the top.
You didn't destroy.
Cut it open clearly so that where are you dropping this thing? Huh?
Is this?
With your umbrella.
You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be right back after this break.
A Euro-American trade in slaves by which 12.5 million Africans were captured from their indigenous homelands and transported via the Atlantic to Europe and the Americas. The transatlantic slave, also known as triangular trade, was the worst form of man's inhumanity to man and the most costly in human life of all long-distance global migrations. Hundreds of Africans chained tightly to plank beds in the belly of slave ships in horrific conditions were transported via the Atlantic and stripped of all human dignity on arrival in Europe and America. It is the greatest crime the Caucasians committed against the black race. It is impossible to discuss the transatlantic slave trade without a copious reference to impoverishment and underdevelopment of Africa and its peoples. The triangular trade left the continent in ruins. Western Spring Television identifies transatlantic slave trade as a watershed event in history.
Welcome back. The founder of Regnation Church, Prophet Tomi Arayomi, has revealed that he has left Nigeria following an encounter with the Department of State Services, DSS. According to the prophet, the DSS picked him, his wife Tamar, and his aide Emmanuel Ezerika on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja. In a post on his verified Facebook account yesterday, Mr. Arayomi revealed that he and his wife were later released on Friday night, but the raid is still being held by the secret police. He claims that he and his wife, alongside the raid, were picked up by 6 armed agents who who did not identify themselves as DSS or any law enforcement agency upon their arrival at the Abuja airport. In other news, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has announced a new date for the commencement of the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations, UTME. The board disclosed this in a statement signed by its Head of Public Affairs and Protocol, Dr. Fabian Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin said the UTME, which was earlier scheduled to commence on April 29th, would now start on April 25th, 2023. He also said the board would hold its rescheduled mock UTME on April 18, 2023. He said the adjustment in the date of the UTME was to accommodate some other major and critical national assignments. Talking business, Nigeria's oil production dropped month on month by 2% to 1.517 million barrels per day in March 2023. From 1.547 million barrels per day recorded in the preceding months of February 2023. The nation's output had risen by 3.5% in February 2023 to 1.54 million barrels per day from 1.494 million barrels per day recorded in January. But in its latest report on crude oil and condensate production 2023 by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, it revealed that outputs dropped for the first time in 2023. The Commission did not provide reasons for the development, but noted that the output included 300,000 barrels per day to 400,000 barrels per day condensate, which Nigeria had the capacity to produce. This means that Nigeria was not able to meet its 1.69 million barrels per day target for the 2023 budget, which was also benchmarked at $75 per barrel. Saudi Arabia state oil giant Saudi Aramco will supply full crude contract volumes loading in May to several North Asian buyers, despite its pledge to cut output by 500,000 barrels per day. This comes after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and allies known as OPEC Plus, last week announced an extra output cut of 1.16 million barrels per day from May for the rest of the year. The OPEC Plus announcement caused Brent and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures to jump 6% last week, returning to levels last seen in November. Meanwhile, Asia's oil demand is expected to weaken in the second quarter as several refiners in Asia are shutting a combined 1.15 million barrels per day of crude distillation capacity in May. On the foreign scene, China has kicked off its third day of live fire drills near Taiwan in response to Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen's recent trip to the United States. According to the Chinese military, fighter jets carried out simulated strikes near the self-governed island during the exercises, which also included the Shandong aircraft carrier. The Eastern Theater Command in a statement today said multiple batches of H-6K fighters carrying live ammunition carried out multiple waves of simulated strikes on important targets on the island. Taiwan's defense ministry said it had detected 70 Chinese military aircraft and 11 vessels around the island. In a statement, the ministry said the armed forces monitored the situation and tasked CAP aircraft, Navy vessels, and land-based missile systems to respond to the activities. In the Middle East, Saudi and Omani delegations have held talks with Houthi officials in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, as part of international efforts to find a settlement to Yemen's 9-year conflict. Houthi-run media disclosed this, noting that the envoys who landed late on Saturday met with the head of the Houthi Supreme Political Council, Mahdi al-Mashad, for talks on ending hostilities and lifting a Saudi-led blockade on Yemeni ports. The visit indicates progress in the Oman-mediated consultations between Riyadh and Sana'a, which run parallel to a United Nations peace efforts. Negotiations also gained momentum since arch rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to re-establish ties in a deal brokered by China. Meanwhile, in Europe, 2 bodies have been found after an explosion flattened a 4-story apartment building in the southern French city of Marseille. Local authorities said 6 people remained unaccounted for and that rescue efforts were ongoing. The blast occurred in the La Plaine neighborhood at 0049 local time yesterday, with the cause remaining unclear. Investigators are looking into the possibility of a gas leak. 5 people from neighboring buildings sustained minor injuries in the explosion, and around 200 people had to be evacuated from their homes. In a brief statement announcing the discovery of the bodies, the fire department said that given the difficulties of intervention, the extraction of the bodies from the site will take time. The mayor of Marseille, Benoit Payan, warned nearby buildings were at risk of collapsing after 2 nearby blocks partially collapsed a few hours after the explosion. To some sports stories, Premier League refereeing body PGMOL says it will investigate the incident while Liverpool's Andy Robertson appeared to be elbowed in the chin by assistant referee Konstantin Hatzidakis. Robertson approached the official angrily at the end of the first half against Arsenal and appeared to shove him as he passed, with Hatzidakis raising an elbow which hit Robertson. The Scot reacted furiously and, along with several teammates, approached referee Paul Tierney, who booked the 29-year-old. The Anfield game ended 2-2, with Liverpool coming from 2-0 down to draw with the league leaders. But in a statement, PGMOL said it was aware of the incident involving the assistant referee and the Liverpool defender, adding that it would reveal the matter in full. Similarly, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has said his side lost control of the game in the 2-2 draw with Liverpool. The Arsenal boss made this known in his press conference after the game, noting that the goal his side conceded before halftime gave Liverpool some momentum. He disclosed that in the first few minutes of the second half, his side were good, and then they lost control and started giving the balls away. Roberto Firmino's late equalizer saw Arsenal's lead at the top of the Premier League cut to 6 points after an incident-packed encounter with Liverpool at Anfield.
We started the game exceptionally well, dominated it, took the game where we wanted, scored the first one, continued to play the way we wanted to score the second one, and that was the moment to kill the game. And just before halftime, we gave them hope. We conceded the goal, and they generated some belief in this special atmosphere and a stadium. And the second half was a very different story. Not the way we started, because I think we started really well the first few minutes, but then we didn't continue to play. We gave every single ball away, especially in very dangerous areas when you allowed open spaces and big transition moments against the best team in the world doing that. And when that happens, it's chaos, it's a lot of balls in your box, it's difficult to get out of those situations, and then you have to suffer. And we rely on big defensive moments where Aaron took a big part of it, and they missed the penalty, and then we could have nicked the game because we have 3 huge situations on the counter that they are overloaded or we are 2 against 2, and we miss as well that ruthlessness to take the game. So looking at the 2 halves, probably it's a fair result, and you have to take it, and the big lesson is play the way we played the first half.
Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. A former deputy governor of Nasarawa State, Professor Onje Guy Wado, has been released 4 days after his adoption. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has debunked viral information on social media that it is currently recruiting through a recruitment 2023-2024 application portal dated April 7, 2023. We brought you news on the foreign scene that China has kicked off a 3rd day of live fire drills near Taiwan in response to Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen's recent trip to the United States. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Damilola Raphael. Thanks for watching. Have a happy Easter celebration.